Hey Geeks, Mod Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek Season 3, Episode 14, That Which Survives. Now, before I actually get into this episode, we are up to episode 70, which means we have just 10 episodes left. So that's been awesome. You guys have been great with the comments, and I hope you guys really like these videos. Some of you have asked if I'm going to do the Next Generation next. And that's kind of the idea. It just kind of depends on you guys, if you guys actually enjoy these videos or not. So just kind of let me know. And I'm fine. I love watching Star Trek. I'll do it all day. That being said, for this episode, That Which Survives, it really didn't do it for me. It was kind of a weird episode, actually. Like, it was weirdly written and it was weirdly acted. So Kirk and Bones and Sulu go down to a planet. And at the exact same time, Spock is in command of the Enterprise and is thrown 1,000 light years away. And, that in itself is pretty common, but it's just weird because Kirk and Spock both are very hostile towards everybody else on the ship. Now, Spock, for example, is known for kind of his off-put, how illogical, oh, irritating, what an Earth emotion type demeanor and responses to people. Whereas in this episode, and it's usually like a one-off, kind of a comedic response, whereas in this episode, every single time somebody speaks to Spock, that's a little tongue twister, like whether it's Scotty or Uhura, it doesn't matter who it is, he just like lashes out on him and is like, no, you're wrong, that's illogical and you're wrong. And Kirk kind of has the same thing, where he lashes out at Sulu and Bones over and over again. Now, I don't know if this is part of the production, because at this point, this is the last season of the series, so everybody was kind of tense and hostile right now. Everybody was mad at Gene Roddenberry, and it's kind of public knowledge that William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy were kind of fighting. They made amends, and they became like best friends after this for years. But right now, in this point, they were very at odds together. And with all the budget cuts, like this was just, it was a rough time in the series right now. So it could be that dripping into the series, or I don't know if the writer was just overly compensating, like this is how a Vulcan should sound. I don't know, but it was very weird how everybody acted in this episode. So all of that being said, some kind of interesting notes for this one. In season 2, we saw a cameo, or a guest star, if you will, of Julie Newmar in the episode Friday's Child. She's kind of famous for playing Catwoman in the Batman TV show of the 60s. Well, now in this episode, we see Lee Merriweather, who played Catwoman in the movie, Batman the movie, with Adam West. So that's kind of interesting that we've now seen two Catwoman, I don't know how you would say that. So that's kind of interesting, but this is also the first of the next 3 consecutive episodes all have a Batman character in them. I won't spoil it here, I'll tell you in each video. But it's just kind of interesting because, it's the 60s, so these actors kind of start crossing over, and you see a lot of familiar faces. So I really liked that. One thing that I thought was kind of weird that I've talked about before is the warp drive. There's not a lot of consistency in this original series. When you get into like the Next Generation specifically, it's a very finite, this is how fast we can go. And then there's a fantastic episode of Voyager, I think it's fantastic, that happens like, well, what happens if we do cross warp 10? Now in the original series, we've already passed that. Not by our own accord, aliens always kind of push us. And this episode, we actually get to like warp 15. So it's kind of crazy. I'm sure if I did some research, they probably oh, this warp 15 in this episode is actually the equivalent of like warp 8. But it was just kind of interesting how they haven't still nailed down exactly how fast the ship can go. So like I said, this episode didn't really do it for me. It was just kind of all over the place. And especially the ending where it's like, oh, it was just a computer that chose Lee Merriweather to be the host. It was just really weird. I was not feeling it. The next episode, however, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, is a great episode. I feel like it's a very well-known episode, so I'm excited for that one. But this one, That Which Survives, like I said, all of season 3, we get ups and we get a lot of lows. I feel like this is one of those low ones. If you guys have seen it, let me know. And also let me know what you guys think about seeing actors from different shows do crossovers. Like, do you guys find that distracting, or does that make it more interesting for you guys? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys tomorrow.